And folks, are you ready for more? Because we have another speaker here. We have another great speaker. We're not done yet. We're ready to. Wow. We have now with us Curtis Sliwa. He's the founder of the Guardian Angels, a talk show host, and now a candidate for New York City Public Advocate. But Curtis has been a public advocate all his life. Actually, he's been fighting crime, he's been fighting corruption from the streets to the suites, as he says all the time on his radio show, and it's true. And Curtis, on a personal note now, Curtis is my hero. When I had, back about 30, 40 years ago, I had a plastics factory in the South Bronx. And I used to take the subway every day. And there were guardian angels there protecting me. This was during the crack epidemic. And every day I would see them there and I would thank them for, protecting us as I made my trip to Alexander Avenue and Bruckner Boulevard in one of the worst parts of the South Bronx. So thank you, Curtis. You're my hero. What you've done for New York City is already, without an office, without a title, you're the man. You're New York City. So Curtis, welcome back. The former keynote speaker at a past Lincoln dinner. He's been our clubs many times before. Let's welcome him back one more time. Curtis Sliwa.
I was listening to the Assemblyman discuss the failed gubernatorial run of Molinaro. As of January 1st, I no longer am chairman of the New York State Reform Party because we were dissolved. We actually supported Molinaro against Andrew Evil Eyes Cuomo, King Cuomo II, the son of Mario Faccia Brutta Cuomo. But as the Reform Party, we were prepared to bring the daisy chain, perp walk chains, and lock up Republicans and Democrats. The Republicans behind Dean the Greek Skelos, and actually the Democrats behind Sheldon Silver, a.k.a. Meyer Lansky, a.k.a. Hyman Roth. 3 men in the room. Remember Cuomo, Shelley, and Dean. All of them corrupt right down to the marrow of their bones. But there's somebody here I want to thank, especially for getting me here tonight, my wife Nancy. And when we were deliberating the Reform Party, who would we run for State Attorney General? Because it was Tish James, basically the lapdog for Andrew Cuomo. And a person who ran on one platform, which was, hey, we're going to sue Trump more than the perv did Schneiderman, who had already sued him 100 times, him and his family, in just the first year that he was president in office. So we went after Preet Bharara. And I got to tell you, I was outside of his house in Westchester with a cup of coffee and the New York Times. We really wanted him because it was like to Republicans and Democrats when I would say, yeah, we're going after Preet Bharara. They'd say, oh, please, that guy's going to lock us up. I said, yeah, the state needs a badly needed political colony. We're the most corrupt state in New York. And they had the chutzpah to ask for a pay raise. Now I realize you got 4 kids. But a pay raise for being corrupt, is that Julian's? Is that chutzpah? That's huevos. Well, let's put all of that aside. The reason I mention also Nancy is she was able at the last second to jump in so we'd have someone on the line. Molinaro was our candidate. Julian Killian for Lieutenant Governor, both Republicans. Nancy, Reform Party for Attorney General, running on the first ever animal rights platform ever in the state of New York or anywhere in the United States. And we gave our controller nod to Tom DiNapoli, who I wish would have oversight, because maybe we could have been warned of the 10 issues that you pointed out, but Andrew Evil Eyes Cuomo says, hey, you guys investigate me, I'll investigate you. So it paralyzes the whole process. So I'm thankful for her running. And then the idea was, knowing we were going to have a nonpartisan election, which I favored, for the vacant public advocate position since Tish James won, I said, hey, Nancy, why don't you run for public advocate on an animal rights platform for no-kill shelters? Because we believe we have 8 rescue cats and many other cat colonies. You shouldn't be killing these animals. 72 hours, they're in a shelter, and if nobody claims them, executed. That's not necessary. So she was prepared to run. And I know, Phil, you introduced us both as running for public advocate. But we're sitting in our house with the 8 cats running around. It's early in the morning. I'm stunned God, right? I'm doing some guardian angel stuff. And Nancy's taking care of the cats. And we have on WABC, the very station I'm on. Sid Rosenberg and Bernard McGurk in the morning. And they had this piece of work on, this guy named Eric Holwich. And I'm listening. And I said, little Eric there with the bow tie boy. You know, I never trust people who wear bow ties. So if you wear a bow tie, I'm sorry. I didn't trust Screwy Louis Farrakhan and George Will. Anybody who wears a bow tie, I don't trust them. Our guy who ran for public advocate, Reform Party, J.C. Polanco. Nice, the million guy, bright, professor, right? Lawyer. But he wears bow ties. I say, yo, J.C., I really don't trust you wear the bow tie. But I'm not going to hold that against him. But then all of a sudden, I'm hearing him talk to Bernard and Sid, who are like $1 short a day late. I know you've been a guest on this show, but they know nothing about local politics. Nothing. And he's going on about Melissa Mark Viverito. She's a radical. She supports radicals. You know, like the head of the FALN. And I'm saying, my corner Mike, can you believe this? This guy must think that we're all not connected. It was his vote. His deciding vote. He flipped the script. He had a last-minute meeting with Comrade Bill de Blasio, the part-time mayor, the dope from Park Slope. He went from being anti-Melissa Mark Viverito to supporting her because he got a Lulu in the chairmanship. He sold out. Now all of a sudden she's a radical? To her credit, she's always been a radical. Did you not know she was a radical? When she ran for city council in East Harlem, she was a radical. When she wanted to be speaker, she was even more of a radical. In fact, the Upper East Side councilman was 1 vote ahead because they had counted heads at that point. And then all of a sudden, overnight, Comrade Bill de Blasio calls him and sweetens him up. He wined him, dined him, and pocket lined him. So now the guy has the gall to say, Melissa Mark Viverito, can you imagine the debate when they're together? And he goes on and on against Melissa Mark Viverito, communist, supporter of FAN. All she got to do is say, Eric, I never publicly or personally thanked you for that deciding vote that made me Speaker of the City Council. I want to personally thank you now. He's DOA, dead on arrival. Number 2, after a few different Republicans, you had that millionaire, that guy up in Westchester, he wanted to be mayor, you know. Guy couldn't chew gum and think straight at the same time. What was his name? No, he ran for governor. Yeah, real estate. You can't even remember his name, right? He was a person of no consequence. Right. Notice. And you're hardcore Republicans and you can't even remember this guy. The guy was a bird brain, but he had some scatto, some moolah shmoolah. So everybody said, ooh, yeah. Maybe he'll be just like Bloomberg and buy us all off, right? Right? He bought off the Republican vote. You think I'd forget that, huh? He came in, he said, I'm independent, and then all of a sudden, hey, Chairman, come here. Let me give you some spending money like I give Al Slim Shady Sharpton, $10,000 in an envelope each month to stay quiet and stay in the penthouse of the Carlisle Hotel. Yeah, this is Curtis Sliwa talking. I'm talking the real deal. Everybody else, oh, hush, you don't want to say that. Hell, it's true.
That's right.
Bloomberg bought the Republican Party and insulted them when he was mayor, and then knew that he could come in the waning moments before campaign, slip you an envelope, your chairman, and all of a sudden everything was nice. And in fact, Mr. Term Limits, right? He bribed his way for another 4 years. And he let some of these crooked council people get an additional 4 years. See, I don't forget. I not only remember, I regurgitate. So, hey, pal, bow-tie boy, Eric Ulrich, I am going to continue to remind people that the scourge of Melissa Mark Viverito is because of you and you alone. You were the deciding vote. But when the Republicans were trying to figure out who would knock off Comrade Bill de Blasio, and they were going for this guy in Westchester just because he had money. But again, he couldn't chew gum and think at the same time. At the last second, you had the Assemblywoman, Malia Takis, jump in. a very difficult situation even if you had a long term to prepare a campaign to raise money. And who does bow tie boy back? Bo Dietl? Did you see Bo Dietl in those debates? Was that not the most embarrassing thing that you have ever seen in debates? And Eric Ulrich was proud. Yeah, that's a boy. In fact, in a one-on-one primary, he could beat Malliotakis. What drug-induced psychosis was he in? Was he smoking fatties, before it's legalized? The guy's crazy. Recently, Malliotakis was criticizing, like other officials, the dollar-short day-late response to the snow emergency. And she was right. Who attacked her and defended the mayor? Eric Ulrich. And he even said, if only Bo could have run in a primary against you, he would have beat you. This is like a year later. Enough of it, Eric. Give it up. And then I go out to Staten Island. I take Staten Island Rapid Transit. I'm very familiar with Staten Island, the forgotten borough. And I'm sitting there before their committee. They're going to determine who they anoint as their candidate. And I notice, wait a second, using the little boys' room. Who's the wheelman for Eric Ulrich tonight? John Haggerty. When you go into the post office, remember when we were kids? America's Most Wanted, the post office, you wanted to see who is the biggest criminal out there. John Haggerty's face is there. That guy did time in the prison in Plattsburgh where the two guys, you remember, broke out and were on the lam? That's right, he didn't do time in the Camp Fed. He didn't go up to Otisville to the camp. They had him doing hard time. The guy's crooked to the bone. When he dies of grief, and you go to his wake, although I don't think many of you will, when they try to close the casket, when they try time to bury him, they'll need a Black & Decker power drill to drill him and his brother right into the ground. So this is who Eric surrounds himself with. And then the final thing. Who gets inaugurated as our state attorney general saying, going to sue Trump, 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 Trump? Letitia James. On the very day of her inauguration in Albany, who tweets out? Now, I don't have it verbatim, but it's close. Let me be the first, if I'm not the last, to thank you for doing such a good job as public advocate.
Let me guess.
What did she do other than issue press releases and use our money to run for a higher position like everyone else did other than God Pound? Mark Green did that, de Blasio did that, Tish James did that. And he tweets that out. Now, we're going to expect him to be the watchdog over de Blasio? What's his credibility? Do you know who got arrested for serving court papers on de Blasio outside a Gracie mansion where he woke up late that night, that day, like he does every day? I'm supposed to serve him at 7:30. He's not out of the house until 8:30. Into the SUV, over to the Park Slope Y, with a cup of coffee and a croissant, gets to City Hall, wakes up, goes to sleep for a half hour, and ends his day at 8 o'clock at night, and then with his old lady at night, he's passing puff, puff, pass on the back porch of Gracie Mansion. You think Eric Ulrich is going to expose any of that? Nah. Because he is a de Blasio Republican. That's the bottom line. So, hey, look, you want to go with Eric Ulrich, you might as well elect any of the other 20 Democrats who are running. But let me tell you what my platform is as public advocate. And I've been consistent since 2009 when de Blasio was first running and ran against Mark Green. Remember? Oh, what a race that was. Two guys hoping to run for higher office. And Mark Green, who had screwed us so many times before, wanted to do it again. But de Blasio won this time. And I said at that time on the radio, and actually the New York Post asked me to run for public advocate for that reason, is I said, shut it down. What the hell do we need the position of public advocate for? A waste of over $3 million of money. It's basically a no-show job where all you do is cut ribbons and run for higher office. So, Curtis, what would you do if you were elected public advocate? I'll tell you right now. That's why, if you look at the term on the petition that hopefully some of you will sign, it says, fire me. I get elected, I get sworn in, I fire myself, I fire everybody else, I padlock the office. Go ahead, take me to court. Take me to court. Now, if our elected officials have any manhood and womanhood in them, Charter Revision will put that on the ballot so that the people of New York City can vote in an initiative and referendum, which I'm a strong supporter of. Whether we keep the position or whether we get rid of it, we will get rid of it. Because if I'm public advocate, guess who's going to be campaigning to get rid of the position? And people are going to say, wait a second, you're campaigning to put yourself out on the unemployment line? I say, yes. Because this is the definition of a no-show job. So you can vote for any of the others out there, there will be 20 plus, maybe more, or you can support the person who is going to padlock the office, fire himself, and fire everyone else, because it's a hell of a deadbeat existence. It's there for one reason and one reason alone. It's the patronage mill for the crook, Frank Sedio in Brooklyn, that I grew up with. That's how I know he's a crook. But Joe Crowley ought to be in jail now. Oh my God. Probate, surrogate court. This guy lives in Virginia, but he won't give it up because there's so much corrupt money involved. In fact, let me just finish with this. I'm talking through a third party to the Bronx County Republican leader. Because for some reason, he would always take my calls before when he wanted me to come up and do a public appearance for some of his candidates or some of his causes. He had no problem taking my calls or calling me. But all of a sudden, he was introducing me to Mr. Click. Mr. Click. So I said to the third party, I don't understand. Why doesn't the guy just have a conversation with me and say, hey, you know, we're on board with Eric Ulrich? He said, well, he thinks that Eric Ulrich is the future of the Republican Party in New York City. Let me tell you, he should have taken the gavel that he brings the meetings to order with and impaled himself in front of his membership by saying that. So this is the bottom line. I have some hurdles I still have to go through. As you know, I've been working at WABC and another talk radio station for 27 years. But if you notice, I haven't been solidified in the lineup yet. We're in contract negotiations. They're trying to cut off my manhood because they're in Chapter 11. I lost my partner. She got fired. Michael Savage will be no more. They're basically throwing people over the side. But this is what happens. I've been through this once before. So we'll see where I end up. Number two, if I'm still at WABC, I want to have the 6 weeks off so I can make the run. Because already somebody has complained to the FCC. Now remember, the FCC is closed down with the shutdown of government. So they had to do this in the very early days when I was talking about this. And guess what? It wasn't a Democrat. It was Jerry Kassar, the Brooklyn leader of the Conservative Party, who was Michael Long's hand-picked leader. It's like, really? Why? Because I tell the truth about Eric Ulrich? And I want to commend all of you because it was that night when Queens County met to choose their anointed son in the swaddling cloth there, somewhere in Howard Beach, Ozone Park, or maybe even was at the Villa Roma where he is tonight on Lefferts Boulevard, getting wine-dined in parking line. And they anointed him and they gave a press release out that said, everyone's behind Eric Ulrich. I want to salute a number of people who met with me in Douglaston as if they were the Sons of Liberty. I came in on the Long Island Railroad. It was Dennis Safran's house. Joe was there. Vicky was there. Phil from Rockaway was there. Pretty much covered everything. Lauren was there. Right, Lauren was there. Okay. The Brave Five. And let me say this. Regardless of what I'm forced to do, because I want to run this, I mean, I can win this with so many candidates. But if for any reason I cannot do it, for contractual reasons, or the massive amount of child support that I created for myself, I got nobody to blame for that other than Curtis Sliwa. I'm not blaming anybody. That's me and me alone. But if for any reason I can't do this, I know that many of you do not like what's going on in Queens County with the Republican Party. I've had great conversations with Robin Hornet over the years. He's been great at filling in all the missing and connecting the dots for me. But if you look for a rebellion, you can count on Curtis Sliwa to be with you through thick and thin. Because you deserve your Republican Party back in Queens County and get it out of the hands of the four. The woman in charge, handpicked by Eric Ulrich, and the two Haggerty boys who ought to both be doing federal time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Curtis Sliwa. Wow, that was great.